Calling upon the seven winds and the seven directions, starting in the south, Pachamama, Mother Earth, calling upon the west, Mama Kia, the moon, calling upon the north, the air, spirit, calling upon the east, the house of the rising sun, the fire, calling upon the below, calling upon the above, calling upon the within, calling upon the four archangels, Uriel, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, four pillars of light, please allowing us to communicate and be clear, pure vessels for transmission of the master plans, calling upon you, Master Ayahuasca, calling upon your presence, upon your guidance, calling upon you, Master Wachuma, San Pedrito, calling upon your guidance, your protection, your transmissions. May all of the master plans transmute and transmit your wisdom and teachings through us as containers at this moment in time. I also wish to acknowledge all the ancestors and the spirit around us on these lands, so we may acknowledge everything around us to create greater sense of connection and wisdom transmission at this moment in time. And so it is. I hope.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to All Things Ayahuasca. On this podcast, we're exploring plant medicine in depth with Michael Guron, who you've just met, who has had over a decade of experience working with the master plants. And today we're going to be discussing preparing for a ceremony. But before we do that, Michael, what is ayahuasca?
Ayahuasca is an amazing, powerful medicine that is originating in the Amazon basin. You know, the tribes, the communities who live there since the beginning of the establishment of this forest, really. You know, they never lost connection to nature, they never lost connection to the plants, like us in the West. And not only that, they are and still able to relate so deeply to their environments. They are able to listen to the spirits of the plant and the nature spirits around them, like I'm talking to you right now. It's inseparable type of reality and consciousness that is quite foreign for us here in the West. And so somehow out of thousands and thousands of plants, they managed to identify and create this deep, powerful brew out of two plants. One of them is a climbing vine. The other one is a shrub. Both of them look very, very generic. Green leaves, no shining lights, no sparks, that present something quite unique about them or anything like that. And only when you take a certain amount of each and you brew them together in the right ratio, in the right extraction, boil them over and over again until there is a specific extraction that is made, a tea, and that's how they created the magical brew, what we call ayahuasca, which is the vine of the soul, vine of the dead. And she became and known for thousands of years. Again, we don't know how long. It's, you know, the communities used oral tradition. So it's, you know, generation to generation through the story times, through the storytelling, the teachings of verbal teachings of their myths and their reality, transmuted the information from father to son, mother to daughter, and so forth.
But the brew is somehow gives us access to talk to nature, or like it feels like actually talking to the creator of nature, ayahuasca.
That's right. Ayahuasca is the feminine aspect of creation. In Hebrew, we call it the Shekhinah. In you know, we call it the mother goddess, grandmother goddess of creation itself. It could be a lot of things, but in general, we look at it as a creator feminine, representative of nature in general.
So when we're preparing for a ceremony, we're actually preparing for a meeting. We're preparing for a meeting with, you refer to her as grandmother ayahuasca.
That's
We're
right.
preparing to meet grandmother.
Yeah, I mean, it's not straightforward, and we want to be the more we are prepared, the more deeply involved we are in our own life processes, the deeper the process will be.
So it's a very humbling kind of approach that they're sort of thinking about in mental preparation, thinking about, oh, how do I even think about approaching this?
We actually don't know how to do it
Mhm.
because of the intensity of the disconnection internally. And so the only connotation that we may have, some people might be around, having drugs or something like that when there is an altered state of consciousness, which is completely really disconnected from spirit, and we have no idea what we're doing. And suddenly we're coming back, wait a second, there is another way to do it that is amazingly deeply rooted in tradition. We creating a new tradition, and we're going through that approach internally. It's where we're coming from internally that leads us towards the best outcome in our journey.
Can you tell us about how to prepare physically for a ceremony?
First things first is really cleaning the body. We want to purify and clean the body. The deeper the cleanse, the deeper the process will be. All our traumas, all our emotional issues are intertwined with our physicality. So we cannot pretend it's not there. So what we want to do, we want to start and purify and cleanse the body. And there is a specific process that, guided by the plants, we following through on traditions that eliminate specific foods, and by doing so, we allow in spirit to dwell better internally in our body, and we becoming more receptive to the spirits of the plant and to the general process of the plant, to allowing her the physicality of the material to purify and cleanse our body.
So are there things specifically to avoid and things to have more of as far as taking into our bodies before
Yeah.
a ceremony?
Yeah, we can start with the important things, the general no-nos, what we definitely want to avoid for minimum, from my perspective, minimum of a week. If you could longer, even better. But we'll start with the minimum. So definitely we have to stop any type of alcohol consumption, any type of smoking weed, marijuana. We don't want to do that. We want to try to avoid heavy meats, definitely pork, beef, farmed salmon, anything with a really strong, heavy flavor on the living animal department. And after that, we're looking at dairy, and we're looking at fermented foods. And then we can look at ripe bananas, ripe avocados, and nuts, and foods that takes quite a long time to get digested. Oils, so a lot of oils, a lot of strong, pungent flavor, like, curries, and the chilies, and the paprikas, and the cumin, all the tasty stuff that we really like. Garlic, onions. So this is kind of like the foundation, and then we want to try and remove salt as much as possible. Again, to a degree, we don't want to get removing all the minerals out of our bodies, but as long that we have a fairly good diet up, to about a week before, that's not a problem at all. So that's the general wavelength.
Yeah, so mainly vegetables and chicken and some rice and just light.
Really light diet,
And caffeine? Did you mention
Caffeine is another thing. So we're looking at
that? That's a
caffeine.
big thing today. Like everyone's like, I love my coffee.
Look, it's really tasty, you know. I don't blame anyone. I love it as well. We used to drink 5, 6 coffees per day one back in the day, but now we're realizing it's a little bit heightening our nervous system. The whole thing of diet as well, dieting before and removing those things is allowing us to really pause for a minute, not emotionally eat because I'm stressed and I really need that, soothing inside myself and really noticing what I eat. Do I feel full right now? Do I feel satisfied? Do I eat too much? Is that enough? Is that tasty? Being more mindfulness what I'm eating and so forth.
Trying to give up coffee for, I think that's one of the hardest things for people. Trying to give that up for a week, we're really noticing what we're attached to.
Yeah,
And
that's
if
right.
it's hard to give that up for a week, then how is it going to be when you're going to be going through some letting go and some purging of parts of yourself or your trauma in the ceremony?
That's right. Look, the physical withdrawal symptoms are quite strong, with coffee, and it should be done in a gradual way because then you can't work, you have headache the whole day, you feel the craving. So, it's starting if you're having couple cups of coffee per day, let's do it one. And then half a shot, and then black tea, and then maybe more black tea, and then slowly see if there's something that you can do. Also, salt water with Celtic sea salt is really great for the headache side of thing. So there's things to do around it, and we don't want to go extreme and push ourselves off balance completely. And of course, and we want to arrive to the ceremony day in a balanced way, so we're not in a, you know, headaches and we are unable to process the information properly. It's really important to come fairly stable with good energy.
Yeah. But also, if giving up coffee is an ordeal, this is an ordeal medicine. It's not
Yeah,
necessarily a walk in the park, So
that's it.
you're preparing yourself for something that at times may be a challenge.
But it will be worth it eventually, That's the nice thing about it, that we have to go through the hard yard. We have to plow through, we have to go and plow and it's not comfortable. And then we have to start and put the seeds slowly. But then eventually, you're going to feel the difference. You're going to cultivate the fruits and things you're going to harvest and things going to come through and you're going to feel better. And it's going to be well noticed in your life. So the more you put into it, the more you will receive.
And I think once you even decide, something happens when you decide, I'm going to do this. I think people have heard about it for a long time. They may be thinking about it for a long time. And then something in them is like, right, now I'm ready and I've decided I'm going to do this. And the decision activates something, I think.
That's right. It's a very amazing process, really, because it's very unusual type of work. And we're learning how to interact and work with that. And it's a multi-dimensional work, which means we have spirits involved in the process, and there's things that are way beyond our comprehension of what does it mean to participate in a ceremony. Practically, fundamentally speaking, basically what is happening, the spirits of the plant is calling you, and you feel the calling, and you hear about her, and she's coming, and then slowly, step by step, it's starting to get clearer and clearer. And from the moment there is a confirmation, there is a discovery call, maybe an integration call, and then there is a click happening. And then, from that moment and on, you created a contract with the spirit of the plant because you've committed to the process. And it's a long process, and it's not going to be just a ceremony. It's going to start and she's going to work with you beforehand, and she's going to start and, float things up in your subconscious and lift it up, and it can present itself in dreams. It can present itself in general ideas, suddenly things floating in your mind, and general wounds and pains that you may have had for many years, and you put them aside somewhere, the far corner of your consciousness, and suddenly they're floating up. And then it's gonna confront you and gonna bring you like substance to work with during the ceremony. And then we're gonna go through the ceremony, and then everything will make sense, hopefully. And then we might need to have an integration call to comprehend everything. And then we're going to have an integration call, an integration process, a process where we will have to walk in the path of life and put things into process. We have to walk it through. And the process is not going to end there. It could end 2 years down the line, or maybe a month, couple of weeks later, if it was a bit more gentle and less intense, which quite common at the beginning. If it's the first time, it's not straight away we're going all the way in. We have a bit of a relationship building before we can really go as deep as we want to.
What can you expect?
Well, that's another thing. It's a whole subject by itself. We can have a whole chapter about that, but I will summarize it shortly. Basically, before we come into this work, we want to remove any type of expectations. And sometimes we don't even know that we have an expectations, which is quite hard. Mm-hmm. But the general wavelength is to kind of like forget everything I saw, I heard from friends, I saw on YouTube. I just want to forget everything and come as clear as possible. It's almost as the same way as we, in a complete letting go state. It's like we're sitting on the beach and we're lying down and we're not expecting anything to happen in the next 4 or 5 hours. We know we're just going to sit on the beach. I have my water. I have the sound of the beach on the waves. I'm lying down. I'm just relaxing in front of the, closing my eyes and receiving the beautiful weather around me and loving life. That's it.
I think that's a really great start with covering the preparation. Is there anything else you can think of?
She's very kind. She's very loving. She's very safe. Do yourself a favor. Enrich your life. Deepen your life. Find purpose. And live to the fullest of your capacity.
Thank you so much. Next time, we're going to be delving a bit more deeply into intention setting, what that is. It's so important. We have details about how to connect with Michael below the video. Please like and subscribe, and really looking forward to seeing you next time. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you so much, Anna. It's been a pleasure.